Dear viewers, we are present at a scary scene, where these men faced death without even knowing it. When a large mountain was about to fall on them, the situation became extremely dangerous and tense. The recent landslide caused a flash flood that destroyed everything in its path. The flood water rolled like a monster, rushing at terrible speed. Roads, bridges, and every object on the road was swept away. Nothing could resist this destructive power. The screams and the sound of water lapping against the shore created a chaotic and dangerous scene. We are at the scene of a horrific incident. Part of the asphalt road has collapsed, swallowed into the ground. Luckily, the cars on the road remained, avoiding a bigger tragedy. Drivers and passengers are panicking, but safety is the most important thing right now. The current situation is extremely serious and stressful. The flash flood became stronger and stronger, sweeping away all the houses and vehicles on its path. Vehicles, property, and what people have worked hard to build are being destroyed in an instant. Rescue forces are making every effort to save people and protect remaining properties. However, complex weather and terrain conditions are causing many difficulties for rescue work. Heavy rain and very strong winds have begun to appear. Heavy rain began to appear accompanied by very strong winds coming from the sea. The situation became extremely dangerous and more tense than ever. As you can see, torrential downpours are falling, creating torrents of water on the roads. The wind blew in from the sea with terrifying force, blowing away everything in its path. Trees were downed, roofs were ripped off, and people were rushing to find safe shelter. Meteorological experts warn that this storm could cause great damage if there are no timely response measures. Complying with the instructions of the authorities is very important to protect your life and property during this emergency situation. I am witnessing an extremely dangerous and dramatic situation. People felt completely helpless in the face of very strong winds, capable of blowing away anyone still on the road. People are trying to hold on to fixed objects to avoid being swept away. Cars, motorbikes, and even billboards could not resist the force of the wind and were pushed back and overturned on the road. Rescuers are trying to help, but the wind is too strong, making rescue work very difficult. The trapped people are very panicked. They need help immediately. We advise people to immediately move into solid buildings or find safe shelter. Stay away from objects that can be blown away by the wind and follow all instructions from authorities. We are continuing to update the latest developments from the scene. It seems that the rain and wind have gradually subsided, but the situation is still unstable as high tide has appeared. Although the rain and wind have subsided, sea levels have begun to rise, flooding coastal residential areas. Huge waves crashed onto the shore, carrying huge amounts of water, flooding many areas. Huge waves crashed onto the shore, carrying huge amounts of water, flooding many areas. The situation is becoming more and more complicated and dangerous. Not only facing high tides, water from upstream is also pouring in very strongly, creating a chaotic and scary scene. Rushing streams of water carry mud and debris, sweeping away everything in its path. Residential areas, roads, and bridges are seriously threatened by the destructive power of water. Helicopter and specialized vehicles were mobilized to deal with this emergency situation. It seems that this is the anger of Mother Nature, when water from upstream rushes in, mixing with the high tide, creating an extremely fierce natural disaster. Rescuers are working tirelessly, using every possible means to reach and rescue isolated people. People are trying to stay calm, clinging to fixed objects to avoid being swept away. Calls for help rang out everywhere, creating an atmosphere full of anxiety and fear. Perhaps never before have we felt so clearly the strength and indifference of Mother Nature. Floodwaters poured from upstream with terrible force, sweeping away the entire road, turning it into a rushing river. We will continue to monitor and update the latest information on the flood situation and rescue work. We invite you to continue following to catch the next developments. We could see, with each passing moment, this house was pushed closer and closer to the water. At any time, it can be swept away by the flood. Perhaps this house will not be able to withstand the wrath of nature. In just a few moments, the entire structure, the wooden house, could not withstand it. It was swept away into the floodwaters at a terrifying speed. In just a few moments, the entire structure of the house collapsed and was swept away by the rushing water. Wooden boards and furniture in the house were torn apart and drifted everywhere.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are in Japan, where a magnificent but also extremely dangerous natural phenomenon is taking place, a violent volcanic eruption. As you can see, the volcano is erupting with a column of smoke hundreds of meters high, red lava flowing from the crater, creating a very impressive but also very dangerous scene. However, what is worrying is that despite warnings from the authorities, many people and tourists still flock here to admire this scene. They are not aware that standing near an erupting volcano is extremely dangerous. In addition to hot lava that can cause serious burns, volcanic ash contains many toxic substances such as sulfur dioxide, which can cause difficulty breathing and damage the lungs. Not to mention sudden explosions from volcanoes can eject rocks and ash with great speed and force, endangering lives. Local authorities had to mobilize rescue forces to ensure the safety of these curious people. But approaching dangerous areas is not recommended. They are trying to create barriers and guide people away from dangerous areas. We want to send you this message. Respect nature and don't risk your life for a little curiosity. Safety of yourself and the community is the most important thing. Please follow government instructions and keep a safe distance. Thank you for watching this special newsletter. We will continue to update the latest developments. Goodbye and see you again.